Welcome to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner, licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. Moments of Clarity's mission is to educate and end the stigma on mental health through the inspirational stories of our exceptional guests. You can join in the show by calling Tiffany toll-free at 866-826-1340 or on Facebook and Twitter at MOC with Tiffany. Now, here's Tiffany Werner.
Hi, thanks for listening. This is Moments of Clarity. My name is Tiffany Werner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And today we're going to be talking about perinatal mood and anxiety disorders and what happens to women often during pregnancy, birth, and after child loss. And before we get into my guest, I want to say hi to Ed behind the glass.
It is Friday.
Happy Friday, and thanks for all you do. And my guest today, she's a licensed therapist, and she specializes with women that are going through things like that, challenges with mood and anxiety and things during pregnancy, birth, pregnancy loss. And she's the founder of Her Hope Behavioral Health. And for the last 10 years, she's been working with women and working hard to recover from addiction, women struggling through trauma, anxiety, depression, and reproductive concerns, such as endometriosis or menopause, or women dealing with infertility and pregnancy loss, and moms working to recover from anxiety, depression, and obsessive compulsive disorder during pregnancy and after the baby. And I can't say how serious this is for so many women and how so many women go through this and don't understand what they're going through. And we're going to talk about this here, and I want to welcome to Moments of Clarity my guest, Lexi Bell. Hi, Lexi.
Hey, Tiffany. How are you?
I'm very good. Thanks so much. So welcome to Moments of Clarity. And I know that you've had challenges going through life yourself and through with having your children and kind of got you into this. And would you mind sharing with us a little bit about your journey and how you got into this?
Absolutely. And thanks for having me on today. So, this I have a super personal experience, of course, with perinatal mood and anxiety disorders with each one of my pregnancies and postpartum. Back then, we didn't really know exactly what was happening, right? The area that we live in Florida, there really weren't any options to seek out help and for people to reach out and say, hey, Lexi, I think that this is what's happening for you. I think this is what you're suffering from or going through.
Right. It kind of surprises people, especially if you weren't living with some sort of anxiety or mood disorder prior to pregnancy, and then all of a sudden are experiencing all this when a baby arrives or when you get pregnant. Or, I mean, I understand the pregnancy loss part. That would probably be the worst thing that could happen to somebody. But it creeps up on people, and they don't understand that that's what's happening. That's the scary part.
It does. Yeah, Tiffany, you're absolutely right about that, and that's a good point. There are some risk factors for perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, but for some women, you're absolutely right. It's true. Some of us don't have any prior history of anxiety or depression or OCD or anything, and it does just it sneaks up on you, and it kind of takes your breath away once you're in the middle of it and you really start to experience all the symptoms that go along with that.
Yeah. So what happened to you?
Yeah. So I can think back to when I was pregnant with our middle boy, who is now 6. I can't believe he's 6. And I remember one day I was in the shower and I saw a little speck of something on the wall. I still don't even remember what it was, but I remember in that moment, from that moment on, everything was different. That speck became a moment of anxiety, of obsession, and that was my very first panic attack during pregnancy. And from that moment forward, it didn't let up. It was every day. There was something to be anxious about from the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep. there was always some instance of panic, or always being just on the verge of it. And of course, once the baby gets there, the new mom, it's even worse, right? Every time you have, a new little one, oh my gosh, I have this human that I have to keep alive, and I hope I'm doing it all right, and all of that external pressure, and sometimes internal pressure that we put on ourselves to be the perfect mom. All of that, of course, played into the depression, the anxiety, and the OCD that was already happening.
Yeah. So it happened with your middle child, but not the first one.
Yeah. So we have 3 children. They're 10, 6, and 4. My very firstborn, who I call my firstborn, is actually my stepson. So I had the benefit of getting to be mom before I was biologically mom, which was fun. But there was definitely that big difference in my experience with him and parenting him, and then biologically having a child, and watching everything that my body went through, my brain went through, as a result of the perinatal mood anxiety disorders that I was experiencing.
Yeah, so you're in love with this baby, this child, and then you go and get pregnant, and then start losing control of your thoughts. That must have been nerve-wracking.
It was terrifying, especially because I didn't know what was going on. And by that point, I have graduated. I've graduated from graduate school, and I've got my counseling degree, and my sole job is to help people. And so it's even more baffling as a professional, not really knowing what's wrong with you. This is not something that they teach in graduate school, right? We don't study postpartum depression or perinatal mood and anxiety disorders when
not
we're
in
going
depth.
through a counseling program. Yeah,
right.
Not in depth. Yeah, and for some,
and we went to the same school. I want to acknowledge that. Lexi and I had the same professors and went to the same program and got the same wonderful education. So I can, when she says that she didn't learn something, I can vouch for that. But yeah, I mean, it's still under study. It's not like everybody is exactly the same when they're going through postpartum or perinatal mood or anxiety. I mean, I think it creeps up on everybody differently when it does happen.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And you're right. That's a good point. Regardless of your educational background, regardless of socioeconomic status, it does not matter. It doesn't discriminate. And so you could have all the knowledge under the sun, and you could be up on this study or that study, but if you don't have specific information regarding perinatal mood and anxiety disorders and what it really looks like to experience it, or what some of the signs could be, you've got no idea what you're dealing with.
So a little while ago, I had someone on the show from Netflix that had a show called When the Bow Breaks, and it's narrated by Brooke Shields. And they're talking about, women who, have been in prison for murdering their kids and drowning and things. Is that stuff that you deal with as well?
Yeah, we've had several patients who have really come close to, we call that infanticide, who've come close to infanticide.
You call it what?
Thankfully, infanticide.
Infanticide?
That's what we call it.
Infanticide. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Like infanticide.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Infanticide. Yeah, that's a good way to break it down. Yeah. Thankfully, they haven't completed it. But I think that just proves the point of how important it is to have treatment available to women for postpartum moms and pregnant moms, to really have a resource that they can go to in their area, in their community, to get help before it gets to that point.
People don't realize what they're doing. These women, they're driving their cars into oceans and drowning, and they legitimately think that's what they need to do. Yeah. For them, it's very, very real. When the Bow Breaks I think it's a brilliant documentary. It definitely does the community justice, in that we have some more awareness. We have this great film available. So thankful to these women and to Brooke Shields for getting behind
for getting behind this very, very serious issue that women all across the country, all across the world face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my heart goes out to them. And
yeah.
But so you had started to suffer with when you had your first biological child, suffered with traits of obsessive compulsive and so you wanted everything clean. And then did it ever let up? How long until you had your second child?
So we have our boys. We had our boys very, very close together. So our boys are 16 months apart. Our middle and youngest, and it was literally our middle was 8 months, and we were pregnant again with our next one, and really there was no discontinuation of what I was feeling. It was a continuation and then worsening of what it was that I was already experiencing. And again, there wasn't information available to me from my providers or from local hospitals or anything like that. Not that they're not intentionally right, but it hasn't been a focus or concern, especially in this area in Palm Beach, for a long time until now. I think there's a lot more education. We're working really hard on that, but to have gone through, we went through the whole pregnancy, the first and second, not having a clue, and there not being any relief in sight.
Yeah, and so everything was fearful, and
everything. Did
it affect your bond with your children?
It did. It did with the second one. My first biological child, there was very much that immediate connection that everyone talks about, where you are really instantly in love with your baby, and this is so great, and he's so perfect. But by the time we got our last little one in, and he was born and he was here at the hospital, there was such a significant delay. I think it maybe was 2 or 3 months before I felt like I could really, really connect with him because I was in such a fog
and anxious and overcorrecting. Probably.
Oh my goodness, overcorrecting and sad and raising a toddler and a newborn. It was a ton, and a school ager. There wasn't anything easy about it. It was a miracle of all miracles that we were all able to get through that in one piece. And then, for me to finally find someone who said, oh, hey, I know what's going on with you. I know how to help.
I can relate. I got postpartum after my second born. And, but I recognized it because it wasn't like that for the first one. So it was, for me, it was kind of like, why am I feeling like this? And it just, so I was able to recognize that something was off, but I wouldn't have seen it if I hadn't gone through it the first time without that. And ironically, he's the easier kid. Just saying.
There's always one.
So I want to talk about what your foundation does and some of the cases that you see, and some coping skills also that women can use when dealing with infertility or endometriosis or fearful of not being able to be a mom. But first, we're going to take our commercial break, and I want to welcome callers also to call in 866-826-1340. 866-826-1340 if you want to call in and give feedback, ask questions, tell a story. 866-826-1340. We're going to take our first commercial break, and we'll be back with Moments of Clarity in just a moment. Please stay tuned.
You're listening to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner. We welcome your input at 866-826-1340. Tiffany will be right back after this.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Are you or your loved one suffering from addiction to drugs or alcohol? My name is Steven Sundquist, and I am a recovered addict. You are not alone. My team of dedicated professionals at All In Solutions Counseling Center is waiting to help you. With our evidence-based services, you can rely on us to help get your life back. We accept most major insurances and offer a variety of treatment options. Call now. 561-289-0779. Again, that number is 561-289-0779.